Russia says it has the right to deploy nuclear arms in the Black Sea Peninsula of Crimea. That of the Russian Foreign Ministry's Department on Arms Control has been quoted as saying that the Kremlin has no plan as of yet to deploy nuclear weapons in Crimea. Mikhail Ulyanov, however, said that Moscow, in principle, can do it if needed. Crimea rejoined the Russian Federation after breaking away from Ukraine last year. The move angered both Kiev and its Western allies, especially NATO members. The comments from the Russian official come at a time when NATO has launched naval exercises around the Black Sea. The Western Military Alliance has, over the past year, conducted several exercises in Eastern Europe amid the crisis in Ukraine. James Detross, the former U.S. Senate foreign policy analyst who joins us from Washington. James Detross, a lot of to do about nothing here because nothing has happened yet. But what do you think, is this something that Russia is seriously contemplating?
I don't know if they're actually contemplating it, but the statement itself is significant. I think there are two aspects we need to keep in mind. One, obviously, is the status of Crimea itself. The Russians are saying quite emphatically, Crimea is now part of the Russian Federation, end of discussion, period, and it's completely sovereign Russian territory. They can do whatever they want there. Obviously, Kiev and the Western governments do not accept this. The other one is, I think the statement itself is a response to some of the provocative moves NATO has been making with maneuvers in the Baltic states, with naval maneuvers in the Black Sea. We just have news today that the United States is going to provide Humvees and drones to the Ukrainian forces. I think this is all designed to undermine the Minsk agreement. And I think by making this statement, the Russians are saying, don't mess with us.
So why would the U.S. want to undermine it if there's been a Minsk II agreement?
Because I think what the Washington is concerned about is that this is essentially a deal cut between the Europeans, especially the Germans, with the Russians to de-escalate the Ukraine crisis, but frankly one that leaves Ukraine in a very precarious position. Essentially, under the Minsk agreement, the Russians have won. And Washington knows that and does not want to see this agreement go forward. Unfortunately, that could lead to an escalation or restarting of hostilities.
Do you think the fact that the EU has come out saying that we're going to form our own army is because they really think that the U.S. is going to push Ukraine to go into a war with Russia?
I don't think anybody takes the talk of an EU army credibly. Even the European militaries, sovereign state militaries, are not in very good shape. I think it is kind of a desperate statement by the European Union to pretend that they have some degree of independence away from Washington and from NATO. Maybe they would like to have that, but what they really need to be able to do is say no to Washington when it comes to things like what the future of Ukraine is going to be politically.
Thank you very much, James Detross, former U.S. Senate foreign policy analyst from Washington. Finally,